Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to another episode of Nadiya Shah Productions. I am your host, Nadiya Shah. Thank you so much for being here. One of the things I love about having my own show is having guests who are awesome. And today's guest is right on top of the list of awesome, Brendan Myers. Brendan is a renowned author. He has written so many amazing books like The Pagan Testament, like Loneliness and Revelation, and of course The Other Side of Virtue. He has created this body of knowledge that educates us on so many different aspects of spirituality and philosophy and of course earth-based spirituality. I know that I am better for having read his work. I'm really excited to celebrate Brendan and his new book today with you. Thank you so much for being here and for being on my show.
It's a great delight to be on your show.
Latest book is Circles of Meaning, Labyrinths of Fear.
That's right. The main idea behind this book is, first of all, why is it that we have so much fear in our lives? Because most people do live in a more or less constant, if low-grade, state of fear all the time. And maybe they don't think about it every day, but it's on our minds, and it's one of the things that we do that tends to ruin our lives so often. And not only what makes it so problematic is that we live with more stress than we need to, for example, but the way in which the kind of fear we live in, we impose on ourselves so needlessly. So the book tries to identify exactly what the sources of these fears really are, what we can do about it, and more to the point, what would life really look like if we lived without all of the unnecessary fear?
Right, because some fear is healthy, isn't it?
Well, the ability to recognize danger is certainly healthy. The ability to know the difference between what is a noble cause and how much danger you should be, willing to accept, how much courage you should muster for the sake of that noble cause, very, very important for a meaningful life. But the kind of fear that we create when, for example, we are anxious about losing an advantage over someone else, for example, or when we are anxious about being alone all the time.
Fear of loneliness. What do you think is the root cause of that fear?
The loneliness that so many people experience in life, and which creates so many problems for us, is not so much caused by anything, but is in some ways a natural condition of being alive on Earth. I know that's not a very pleasant thought, but we are in many ways isolated creatures, even as we may have many, many friends, for example, or well, as in the case of my coming here, I'm rubbing shoulders with possibly 500 people in the subways,
Yes,
and yet
the Toronto subways are quite crowded at rush hour.
They are indeed, but how many people made eye contact with one another? How many people shook hands and said hello? I mean, very, very few. And people are often really at pains to protect their privacy, especially in a densely populated city like Toronto.
Why is that? What do you think it is about the city that causes people's walls to go up?
Well, I think it's partly because people fear being invaded by others and having their lives in some way influenced or infringed upon. Everyone wants to be free, for example. Everyone wants to be able to lead whatever lives they wish, but they also recognize how, in some ways, other people, looking after their desire for freedom, might end up interfering with yours. This is, incidentally, one of the sources of the labyrinth of fear, right? It's the way in which people do things because they think what the other person's doing, but they don't really know, so they're guessing in the dark. And they'll end up doing things that they think are in their interest, but actually make everything worse off for everyone. End up doing things not because we want to, but because we're afraid of what will happen if we don't. And that does not lead us towards meaningful and worthwhile lives.
And it isn't just that we're doing one thing, but that one little fear can create a labyrinth, really.
It does,
It makes so much sense you would call it labyrinths of fear.
Think of it this way, too. The interesting thing about a labyrinth is, what is it that keeps someone stuck inside? Not the locks on the door. There's only one path from the center to the exit, even though it's this circuitous path. What keeps them stuck in there is the knowledge that they have built this prison themselves, and so they think that they are still free. But look at the original meaning and the original story about what a labyrinth is. It was originally a prison built by Daedalus to house a monster, the Minotaur, right? So the book, Circles of Meaning, Labyrinths of Fear, describes 22 relationships and what they would look like if they had so much less fear in them. So, Northeast Sauton, know yourself, is part of the way that we can escape from the labyrinth of fear and finally live meaningful and loving and worthwhile human lives on Earth. If first of all we can see that the fear traps that we live in are built by our own hands, they're not imposed on us by anyone else. that the loneliness that we are so often afraid of is in some sense a natural condition of life, and if we are prepared to accept this and understand this, and then reach out to the next person with much more sincerity and heart, then we can create the kind of relationship that I would like to call a circle of meaning. Because that's, I think, the foundation of a meaningful, worthwhile life on Earth. All it takes is enough people willing to see that they live in a labyrinth, dismantle it, walk out, and then finally meet each other, see each other for who they really are, and live much better lives.
Beautiful. Circles of meaning, labyrinths of fear. And that will be everywhere in March of 2012.
That's right.
I am so excited. I can't wait to read it. I swear I'm putting it in my calendar right now. Circles of Meaning, Labyrinths of Fear. Thank you so much for being here, Brandon.
You're very welcome, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you for this moment with you, and thank you for being here as well. Until we connect again, take care. Welcome to Nadiya Shah Productions, featuring inspiring, positive, uplifting people, places, and events in astrology, New Age spirituality, and art. Catch full episodes, daily horoscopes, and so much more on my website, nadiyashah.com. Thank you so much for watching. Until we connect again, take care.